Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. This time I'm looking at a Trust 5.1 headset. This is one of these things that I just can't let die. It's like, I've had this for about 15 years now. These were one of the, I don't know if you remember Trust. They're probably still knocking around actually. Really cheap, sort of branded, accessories, third-party accessories, mice, keyboards, headsets, microphones, all that sort of stuff. I think they did other things like sound cards, they did OEM versions of things as well. But it's pretty cheap. It was cheap at the time. It was about 20 or 30 quid, I think. But it was one of the very, very first 5.1 headsets. So you've got in each of these earpieces, you've got a front, rear, and then you've got like I think this front left, rear left, front right, rear right, centre, and like a bass or something, some background sort of channel as well, and it works really well. The 3D effect you get from this is fantastic. Games like Left 4 Dead and Battlefield and stuff, I can tell exactly where someone is approaching from behind or the sides or even above me in Battlefield. That's one thing I'll say about Battlefield actually versus Call of Duty. The sound in Battlefield, you can actually tell whether someone's above you or below you with a decent 5.1 headset, or at least I can anyway. On Call of Duty you can't even tell. You haven't got a clue. It's like, I don't know what they did with the sound on Call of Duty games, but you've got very little definition or indication of direction there even with a good 5.1 headset. But anyway, I can't let this go. I have tried replacing this a couple of times. A few years back I got like a Zalman headset that was about 50 quidish or something. Used it for all of a day and I was just not impressed at all. It was crap compared to this, which is hard to believe. Like I say, this is really old in age, aging cheap technology, and this is just brilliant, which is why I can't let it die. And I also borrowed a Turtle Beach headset from a friend a few years back, and it was a similar story. This beat the bleeding Turtle Beach headset, I kid you not. It could be that you get used to something, and when you're used to something, when you hear something, you hear sound differently, it kind of it's hard to get used to, and there could be an element of that going on there. It's almost like I've got nostalgia in my ears for how things sound. I'm used to the way this sounds, but it is a good, trust me, it's a good headset. Ironically, yeah, trust. Anyway, so what I've done, this has been repaired about 4 times. You can see this here. You've got like little adjustment thing. It's taped. You can see the tapes hanging off. This has been retaped about 10 times over the last 15 years. But you've got some volume adjustments here for the balance and stuff. And I've always wanted those set permanently. I set them until it sounds right, until I've got equal, balance all around, and then tape the whole thing up because I don't want the damn things moving around. So that's always been like that. And I've always periodically had to remove the tape and clean it all up, put new tape on, because tape doesn't stay stuck on. That's one thing that has annoyed me with this from day one. I didn't like the fact, it sounds daft, some people would like the fact they've got sort of fingertip volume adjustments, but you can do all that on the computer anyway. I don't want to be able to fiddle around with it, so there's that element of it. But the wires, you can see, that wire's loose there, so periodically I've had to do something there with a grommet and re-solder the things inside it and stuff, so that's been a pain in the arse. There is a wire that travels from one side of the headset here across one of these tubes. I think I might go across both tubes actually to the other side. Those have broken from time to time, a couple of times, at least 2 different occasions I've had to fix those. But yeah, the main thing that's sort of been annoying with this is the cheap design. You can see, the plastic's cracked there, and these are supposed to be sort of screwed on the inside, and that holds them rigid. But at the moment they're not, they're just floating all over the place because the fittings inside are broken off, and you'll be able to see that more once we get inside it. But this, it has worked. This is the thing. Even though at the state it's in at the moment, it's on its very, very last legs, but it still works. And it's also had something like 4 lots of new ear cups. This is the 4th lot I've had on there. They aren't the original ones. I'll show you. I've got a donor headset which I bought for a couple of pounds off eBay here. This is really dirty. Look at the state of this, but I'll clean this up. And you can see this has got the original ear cups that were on there. It's amazing those are still in one piece. But when you use them a lot and take them on and off and on, off and on, off and on, they wear and they start flaking, and that's what's happened with mine. I use them so much that's why I've been through 4 sets. I think, if memory serves, there's something like 90mm spherical ones, so you can just remove the old ones and stick on the new ones. I think what I did is this like a plastic base underneath this, and it clips in various places. So what I did is cut the old ear cup off, and then use some rubber and fabric adhesive to adhere these to that base, so I could still clip them in as they're supposed to be clipped in, but they've just got a new dome on there. So I mean the EM domes are okay, they're at the moment, they're in good condition, so I'll probably keep those. What I'm thinking of doing is cleaning this one up and swap over the domes. I'll still keep these because they're originals, but the main thing is the supports. Sorry, it's not easy to see, is it? There's that many wires and things trailing all over the place here, but the supports here inside are still adhered and connected properly. They're not broken off like they are on my existing headset, so it's not had as much use, this headset, I don't think. You can see there actually the exposed volume thing I was on about. So you've got rear volume, front volume. There's a thing there to switch between 2.1 and 5.1. Yeah, and then you just sub/center volume. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, I did get another one of these stands as well with this, the actual base bit, but this is dirty as well, pretty dirty state. Something's leaked on there actually, I don't know what, some oil or something. So some serious hacking has to go on here in order to get, I mean you can learn from this, you want to get inside one of these yourself. In order to get the base off, there's 2 screws there, and there are 2 screws there. There are 4 holding this weight on here, which you probably need to remove first actually. I don't know if that's obscuring or masking. Yeah, it is, you need to get rid of this first. So, bit of a pain. I'm not bothered about this rubber base, I can peel a lot off actually because it'll still just sit flat on a table under the desk there, so I'm not bothered about the rubber base on there anyway. And then once you've got that off, you can then get this off. You need quite a long screwdriver in order to get into the 4 screws there, because it travels quite a long distance. My normal screwdriver that I would use there doesn't go the distance, unfortunately. And then the front just comes off there, so we've got access to that PCB, and that's where I'm going to look initially, because I think if anything it's going to be the LED. You can see there's a fair few caps and things in there. They look alright. I might slide that board out, just have a look at that board, but I mean the thing is working perfectly and always has done. It's just the power LED, flickers on and off, despite the fact the thing's still working. So if anything, I think it's probably just the LED actually. It could just be a dry solder joint, one of those little SMD components there. Right, I think what I'm going to do here is just going to reflow the solder on many of the SMD components around there, and certainly the LEDs, because you might not be able to tell, but there are some questionable joints on some of these, certainly on the LEDs and certainly on 1 or 2 of these resistors and transistors and things on that board. I'm pretty sure that's all it's going to be. I mean, look at the assembly there, flaky as anything. Look at the directions those LEDs are pointing in. They should be pretty much more centre. That one there's sort of all over the place. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not there's not a fault. So I think it's just dodgy soldering. And you can see down here, I don't know how well this is going to come out, there's little bits of solder floating around on the board there as well, so I'll clean that up once I finish reflowing it. But that's all I'm going to do with this, and then just reassemble this, clean it up, because it's pretty dirty. It's been sat on the shelf for 15 years more or less, so yeah. So I've reflowed all the solder around the top parts of those components on there, and straightened up the LEDs a little bit. That one just needs bending back just a little bit, like that I think. They're almost as good as they're going to get. But then I've taken this board out as well, just so we can have a quick look at this and just make sure there's no dry joints or anything on this board. Yeah, it's a bit of a bodge manufacture really, it's not too bad. There's some relays on there. There's a couple of little op amps, 3 op amps down there. The caps look alright, I think. I don't see any that are clearly leaked or anything. But this thing is working, it's like I say, the only reason to take this apart really was just out of curiosity more than anything, to resolder around the power. Yeah, got a couple of, that looks like a dry joint there, you can see that. I'm going to reflow just the odd point on here where there may well be a dry joint, I think, while I'm at it, and then just reassemble this particular part of the thing. So I've stripped the other base unit down. I'm going to swap the can over, the actual case in here. I've just cleaned this up quickly. It's come up really well compared to this one. You can see what's happened here. I put a bit of isoprop on it because it was faded. You can see it's like that there. I thought maybe it was dirt, but it's not. It's the paint that's faded off. And isopropy, it's a word of warning actually, isopropyl alcohol on some paints and plastics and things can discolour it or in this case, you know, lift it. So you know, the front's come up really clean there, the main fascia part of it, but I'm just going to swap it over. And I think, I was going to say, I think there's something leaked in the other board. I think you can see it looks alright. Here we go. It looks alright. I can't see any caps that look like they've exploded or leaked, but there's just like a really oily sort of liquid over all of the case and the inside of it. It's a bit on the front there, actually. I can just feel it's a bit oily. So I'm not sure if one of the caps is leaked in there, but I'll probably just strip this down for spares, actually. I think I'll spend some time disassembling this, taking off the diodes, removing the caps, testing the caps, taking off the relays, and remove all of these other components, and just maybe keep the front panel as a spare front panel with the buttons and things intact. I don't see any sense in keeping the whole lot, really. The PCBs are going to be no good to me, but I can certainly use some of the components and things off there, so that's what I'll do with that. So there's the base station totally reassembled. It's looking a lot better. I've replaced the base as well. It's a bit faded there, but if I show you the old base, you'll see, look at the state of that, you know, it's really faded, so, and it's even a bit faded on this side as well. So it's got a new base, new backside on it, and it's all cleaned up, and the solder point and things reflowed on the around the power, all the power LED section. So it looks alright. So that's that. Put that out of the way. In terms of getting into this, these clip on. I think you can see this. You've got like an edge there all the way, and it sort of sits into these little recesses. Can you see them? Little plastic recesses all the way around. So just sort of, I'll just put it back in position. Just sort of squeezing it a bit like this here. You clip them out, and then it just pulls off dead easy. And then you can see I've got this dismantled here on the side. What you've got to do is carefully lift this foam, and as you inspect around, you'll find screw holes like that there. Sorry, this wire is in the way of the focus here. Let me just move that out of the way. And there's 2 or 3 of those in various places. There's one down there. Can you see that? I think there's about 3 or 4 screws around there. Then you've got to bend these bits of metal. You can see them there. The one that's still in place. Bend them up. There's 2 on each side of the ear cup there, and then the inside part will slide out. So what I'm going to do now is just take a photo of this area here, so I can remember which wire goes to which place on there, and then just desolder those so I can separate that piece. And the reason being is I'm just going to do some work here, and get this into the sync. Now you can see this main ear speaker here is glued in. So I'm not going to be able to do anything with that, but at least if I separate this part here, I'm going to minimise getting water into the speaker and stuff, and I'll just carefully go over this area here with some cleaner materials and things. I'm not sure, yeah, I can get that metal off actually, that will come off. You can see that on the inside there. There's a couple of metal clips, just near my thumb there, there's one there, one over here. So I can get that metal out actually. I'm going to do that. I'm not even going to take the earpiece off. You know, take this. I'm not going to just do what I've just said and desolder that. I'll just take the metal piece off, clean those, and then clean the plastic bits up. I'll clean the sponge up, clean the thing, and I think I'll just keep this assembly as it is. But if I show you what's happened to my headset, God, it's not easy to do this because of the way this thing's assembled. Can you see down here? The way that these arms held on here with a single screw, and it's a tiny piece of plastic holding it on. These break off. If you drop the headphones, they break really easy. So while I'm in here, knowing that this is a sort of failure point, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an extra couple of screws in there. You'll notice there aren't any in this. And I'm going to get my hot glue, and I'm going to hot glue this whole area here before I reassemble it, just to give it some extra support there. Because I would, you know, that's where these fail. I mean, you can see they're really cheap. You know, there's nothing mega high quality about these, but they give a fantastic sound. They really do. The 5.1 works really well, and the speakers there they've used balance the different frequencies very well. Hence why I can't let this die. So anyway, that's what I'll do. So you can see there, what I've done is just put some hot glue around the supporting pillars just to give it a bit of extra support. I did have 2 screws in there, but then it suddenly dawned on me the screws that go through that piece there are the screws that go into those holes, so you don't need supports there. You know, it probably doesn't need it in actual fact, because what happened with my headphones is the actual metal thing here sheared off rather than on the plastic fitting. You know, the actual piece of metal that goes through these bars here, you can see where the screw is through there. It just sheared somewhere around here. So yeah, with constant sort of bending like that, they will snap off anyway. Not a lot I can do about that, but yeah, anyway, I feel a bit happier now that that's just a bit better supported there. I've cleaned up the metal cans. You can't quite see them. I mean, you can just see that it's quite a lot cleaner than it was. Still looks a bit battered on that side. The other side's better, but I mean, look at how it was. That's how it was. I've still got to do that side yet, so I'll just carefully just make sure the wires are connected there. Yeah, they're still all connected. I'll just reassemble this now. So pretty much done here now. You can see looking pretty good. I've got my ear cups on there at the moment. Really clean. I've cleaned the cable, everything. The only thing I had to do inside is one of the speakers there. Just put a tiny blob of glue on the outside of it just to hold it in place, because I think it slipped out of its little mounting position. But you know, that's really good now. It's got extra support inside from the hot glue. But the main thing is it's fully functional, and you know that you can bend it like that and it's not going to snap. So yeah, really pleased with that. It's taken an awful lot of work to clean up. It was really filthy. I mean, look at the cables. Clean your cables on these. You buy second-hand electrical equipment, they come out black. After going over it several times, you know, you can wipe it now with a damp cloth, and there's nothing there. There's no remnants of anything. So the very final thing I'm going to do now, having cleaned up the cable and everything, is just to clean this up. But first of all, just unscrew this and just get a bit of WD-40 into these pots and the switch and stuff, just to help with that, because they work, but they're not very good. They're a bit spiky. You know, you can hear like noise and stuff when you move them. So it just needs a bit of lubrication in there. And as I say, clean the plastic part up, just screw it back together, and I'm all done. There we go, all done. Yeah, really pleased with that. It's a bit faded, you know, the plastic and stuff, and you've still got some fading on these grills. You could actually clean these up with like stainless steel or something. You could, you know, get some metal polish or something onto those if you wanted to get them really clean. But you know, you've got little dinks and scratches and marks and stuff. That doesn't bother me. You know, the old ones are in the right state. I'll just pull over the bits, the stuff that's left, actually, and just show you. You can see, you know, what state this is in at the moment now. You can see there previously that it was those that broke, that connect to these little metal, these shafts here, they snapped off, so there was no real support there at all. I'll keep these for spares, or certainly the cans. I'll just disconnect, pull that off there, chop the wires, and just keep the can parts of these, I think. I had to replace a wire in the middle of there. That's why there's a green wire there, so it's had that replaced. It's had new, oh God, that's disgusting. It's had new, as I mentioned here, cups, but also the foam backing here, that wears down. You could just get some black felt and cut it to size, and that's what that is, and use a bit of upholstery glue to stick it on there, some Yoo-hoo or something like that. But yeah, God, they're crusty. And then this has also had this fail. Can you see this like sponge? Whereas if you look at the other one, it's like got a plastic coating. The plastic coating wore down and broke off. So, you know, this has had numerous repairs. It's had a repair to the wires in here on that as well. So I'd be interested to know if you've got one of those, you know, a bit of hardware, some headphones, or I don't know, test equipment, or a system, or a mouse, keyboard, accessory, or something like this, where you just, it's so good, or you know, you've got a relationship with it, that bit of hardware, and you just can't let it die. You fixed it, you know, numerous times, and don't want to basically send it to landfill. I'd be interested to know your thoughts and experiences there. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.